Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Welcome back to Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Friday to have some fun, to talk the news of the past 24 hours. It's our good friend, TK Trinidad. TK, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Hey, I think my name should be the original TK because, you know.
Yeah, because there's
just
two.
Saying.
Yeah, OG.
Yes.
There's the OGK. You're the OGTK.
Correct.
To the TK. Got it.
Yes.
Me and TK in the house here, OGTK in the house here today. We got a lot of big WrestleMania news to dive into here in the news block and some other stuff as well, injury updates. At the mailbag later on, we're going to take a look at the Usos and the New Day, a hot topic of conversation that's come up off the lips of Macaulay Culkin on Freddie Prinze Jr.'s podcast as of late. And since Kofi has gone out of his way to respond to people complaining about the abundance of New Day Usos matches, I thought, let's have some fun. Let's run it back. Let's do New Day versus the Usos here on the Wrestling Inc. Daily, baby. Why not?
There it is.
Suck it, Macaulay Culkin. Suck it, Culkin. And of course, we got an interview here today. We've had a lot of interviews here as of late, but today it's not me. Our good friend, you heard him yesterday, Paul Pratt, a.k.a. Pollo Del Mar, here with an interview with Zicky Dice. He's got a crazy show called Outlandish Paradise. It's going to be on Twitch tomorrow. You're nodding your head. Are you familiar with Outlandish Paradise?
I am. One of our hosts is going to be there tomorrow. So they actually saw it and they let me know, and we put in a call, a request. So I believe they're going to be there tomorrow. So yeah.
Rock and roll. Well, hey, look at that. Yeah, Outlandish Paradise. It's free on Zicky Dice's Twitch tomorrow. So if you're looking for some wrestling to watch, go check it out. And this interview, you'll get a lot of details about it. And lastly here, the comment section is open. Of course, John got here first from West Texas saying hello. I like this note from Antonio. Hi, Nick and TK. I feel like Casey Kasem right now. Hi, Nick and TK. Going to see SmackDown Live tonight. Going to be interesting to see how many show up. We're a COVID hotspot, and the county reissued a mask mandate. Plus, we're getting a snowstorm tonight. Wow, interesting. Yeah, I was just kvetching to you off of your oy vey about how it's cold and COVID-y here in Chicago. I also wonder, Antonio, how they'll do. AEW is going to be here just next month. Same deal. I wonder the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to going through a snowstorm. Like when I was living in Toronto, if it snowed, it took a lot for me to leave the house. So kudos to the dedication. Because I probably would have been like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch it on TV. I know it's great to see like live events, but that snow, I'm not about it.
All right. So, okay. Look, if I have to go for work at this point, I'm kind of resigned to it, but I'm with you. I don't go to a lot of stuff anymore. It's scary out there, people. Do your thing.
It is just a little bit.
But Spaceman 584, on a positive note here before we get to the news, great team on the pod. I agree with you, Spaceman 584. Jump in the comments. Let's get it going. It's time for news you can use. News that'll leave a bruise. We're starting off here with a story from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The Friday show usually rich with Observer stories, Friday or Thursday. So the plans for the top men's matches for WrestleMania 38 have been Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title, with Rollins defending the WWE title against Big E, Bobby Lashley, or Kevin Owens. Now, regarding Lesnar versus Reigns, no word on if original plans had Lesnar going into the match with the Universal title, but logical booking for day one was for Paul Heyman to cost Reigns the title and go with Lesnar, which would leave us right where we are right now anyway, right?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew that Heyman would have to make a decision at one point. And I just kind of feel like Brock is like, I mean, Roman is scary, but Brock is scarier. So you kind of probably we're going to go that direction. So yeah, I'm for it, but we'll see because, because remember when COVID first came out, I think Roman, when they were in the Thunderdome, Roman wasn't really feeling that either. So now with the surge of it, because of his, I don't know if I should call it like a sickness or just because of his health issues. Sure. Now that the surge is kind of going up, I don't know if he's going to want to risk that. So that might change the storyline a little bit too.
I know that WWE has gotten real harsh on the vaccination thing. And I know they want to run a really tight ship. And I think keeping people like Roman happy, maybe incentive for them to be doing that right now. I think if Roman's healthy, he'll be there. For me, the bummer here is we missed a beat, right? Like, wouldn't have having that moment where Paul Heyman costs Roman Reigns the title to give it to Brock Lesnar, it's a big moment that we missed, right? And they decided to not give it to us. Instead, they just kind of rolled on and just decided to align Paul with Brock. And I just wish we had that note in the song. I don't know. I miss it. It feels like something's missing, having not gotten to actually see the Paul Heyman turn play out in a match,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, but the way I'm looking forward to the Paul Heyman speeches, because I know there's going to be a reference to it between now and Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. There's going to be a reference, and it's going to be a really great reference because it's Paul Heyman. And yeah, it doesn't necessarily tie a bow up into everything, but I wouldn't have any other person discuss it and make it interesting. So there's that to look forward to.
Well, as we noted before, right, that at one point Rollins, he was scheduled to win the title at day one. Rollins' WrestleMania opponent would have likely been the Rumble winner, which would be Big E. So now I guess the question is, like, do we get the reverse of that, where Roman Reigns now costs Brock Lesnar his title and helps get the title, or I guess get it onto Big E, and then Rollins wins? Or I mean, does Rollins beat Roman? I don't know.
Yeah, it shouldn't have. I mean, I think we can all agree it shouldn't have. Like, I'll speak for myself. Unfortunately, I knew that Big E wasn't going to have the title for an extensive period of time. It's just WWE. However, I think we can all agree the timing of it in day one was just kind of like, now you just kind of, and yes, because of certain things, like if certain things didn't happen, he still would have the title, but you have professionals, writers there. So there could have been some other options. Now we're just kind of left with, trying to make, chicken noodle soup without any chicken. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, they'll figure it out like they always do. And I've always said, kudos to WWE, because it's week in, week out. They're not only doing one show, they're doing 3 or 4 shows, plus the live shows and all this other stuff. So I don't necessarily like how it's happening, but I think they'll figure it out definitely before Royal Rumble, and because those are kind of the big stories. So they'll figure it out before Royal Rumble and before WrestleMania.
I just feel like they got to get the title off of Brock or Roman for anything, or like one of them, right? For anything to make sense. And, if they wanted to have Roman going into WrestleMania, taking the title away from Brock, then maybe we get the Paul Heyman screws over Roman Reigns thing they were going to do at day one. Maybe we get that at the Rumble in the Rollins match instead, right? And that flips the title onto Rollins. You can still have Big E win the Rumble, and then maybe you have some kind of elimination. Or wait, I'm sorry. As Dave Meltzer reported on Twitter, it's no longer going to be the Elimination Chamber. Now the WrestleMania Chamber is what it looks like it'll be called going forward. We'll see. But you have that as the opportunity to kind of figure out what you want to do with the other title picture. But that all makes sense to me, right? Like, do the stuff you were going to do at day one at the Rumble. Roman's pissed, and he goes in, and maybe he's the one that wins the WrestleMania Chamber in Saudi Arabia and goes on to fight.
Or, and I mean, this is a big The Rock shows up, because let's be honest, he's still in really great shape, but probably some ring rust. I think now is the time. If you wait, like, it's kind of like almost like, Mayweather and Pacquiao when they finally had a match. It was like, okay, you guys are kind of past your prime. Like, we would have liked to see that 10 years ago. So I feel like if The Rock were to come, this would be one would wipe the slate away, because everybody's been kind of calling for it, and it finally happens. And then, the people who've been complaining about WWE being terrible and all as of late, The Rock showing up will be like, all right, oh my God, and mainstream media and all that stuff. So, I mean, I think that will throw a monkey wrench into everything, but everybody would be okay with that. That's what I want, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I think it's wishful thinking. If they can't, if the
Don't
Rock
say that.
if the Rock is having trouble getting to do any kind of physical stuff in WWE because his agents get like worried and stuff, I think the odds of him going and possibly getting injured during a pandemic would make it exponentially more difficult to get Dwayne Johnson into that situation. I mean, look, John Cena did it, but I don't think we see the Rock back until things are like, quote, like a little more normal or whatever.
But
I don't know.
it's never going to be normal. And then my thing with that is I feel like there's something else. There's absolutely no way you could be in the gym that much and be afraid that you're going to get injured, especially by somebody who's a professional. You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of, it would have been different if he's like, he's wrestling somebody new, but like if you're wrestling your cousin who is a champion,
I think it goes down. I think it goes down in Hollywood. I don't think it goes down in Dallas. I think they stick to the plan for Dallas. I'm honestly and I get emotionally connected to ideas sometimes, but the idea of like Heyman screwing over Roman with Roman then going on to challenge Brock either by winning the Rumble or winning the Mania Chamber, whatever it may be, that seems like a pretty logical thing. The only thing that's interesting to me about it is like, do we see a heel face flip here? Right? Like with Heyman aligned with Brock. And if they screw over Roman Reigns, and now Roman Reigns, who's been screwed over, and the fans obviously love this guy, they buy all his shirts. Does Roman do they do a turn here where Brock goes from being this kind of avant baby face that we're getting at the moment, Fargo-esque baby face? Do we get the flip with him and Paul going heel, and then Roman? People start to really want Roman to win this title back against Brock Lesnar.
I don't like that makes sense. However, if you think about it, Roman Reigns has been being pushed down our throat for years, and nobody cared for him. Like if he was very lukewarm, it was just like, okay, you guys are pushing, like we know we're supposed to like him, but we really don't care. It wasn't until this version of him that we actually started caring. Like it was just kind of like you either love to hate him or you love the fact that, it's finally kind of clicked. And I think if he were to become a babyface, I think he needs some more time being head of the table. And then, he can flip over. And yes, it's been a long time, but however, this has been a much longer time where we could care less. So now that we're actually caring, I feel like we need to stay in that zone for a little bit more.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the women's picture here for Mania. Original plans for the top women's title matches, according to the Observer at Mania, were going to be Sasha Banks versus SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, and also Bianca Belair versus Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Now, Banks currently out of action with a foot injury she suffered on January 2nd. She's expected to be out of action for another 6 to 8 weeks. She's going to miss the Rumble, which Flair has already announced she's going to be in. And if she does win and gets to pick her WrestleMania opponent, it would be an easy way to slot Banks in. But again, we could see a women's chamber match or WrestleMania chamber match in Saudi Arabia. What are your thoughts on the tentative Sasha, Charlotte, and Bianca Becky plans?
I mean, yes, but this is the problem that we've been kind of talking about for the last 2 years, especially pertaining to the women. It's like you have a locker. Well, the locker room is a little bit lighter now because they dropped a lot of women, but you have other women that are in the locker room that you can start building stories around. And I get, Charlotte's a star, Becky's a star, all this other stuff. But if they'd spent time actually building up some other women, then I'm kind of tired of Charlotte. And Charlotte's great, not taking anything, we're not taking anything away from Charlotte Flair. Sure. She's amazing. However, it's not just Charlotte Flair. Like if it was just the 4 horsewomen back there, it's like, okay, well, just interchange it. We get it. But there's more women there. And I feel like, it's kind of too late now to build a storyline, but actually taking the time to build storylines for other women and then seeing other women enter the picture would be nice. So it's like, yes, great. We get to see Charlotte again. We're going to see, all the great moves. She's going to bring it as she usually does. But sometimes it's just kind of like you want to see what other people can do.
It is a bit of an indictment on the state of the women's revolution in WWE, like having to lean on all of these legends to come back for the Rumble. You know, I'm like at this point not going to rule out Lita actually winning the Royal Rumble. You know, I honestly, like, you know, everybody knows Lita. Who wouldn't want to see Lita at WrestleMania? Casual fans know Lita. Whatever.
Right.
But you're right. They haven't built up these other women in compelling ways. We've seen all of these women kind of interchange. Do we want to see Bianca get one over on Becky? I guess, but like we would have spent like 8 months from starting at SummerSlam to kind of get to this point. It just was a lot of time that was filled by not a lot of like intensity.
Right.
You know?
And then I'm always for a good faction. So like, you know, if you're not necessarily going to build women up individually, then at least have a faction so we're introduced to other women. And then, you know, when they splinter off, like, you know, you can reference that. But, you know, just I love watching the women's matches. I love, and again, nothing towards Charlotte or Becky. They're holding their own. They're doing all that stuff. However, but it's just kind of like, you know, I think that's why, you know, Sasha gets injured and you're seeing all these injuries. Like you can't forget whether, you know, I'm sure and everybody who's in the comments, you know, doesn't think this, but other people thinking wrestling is fake, going in and out week to week, not only doing the TV shows, but doing the live tapings, all this other stuff is a lot. So if now you're inserting other people that are already signed and are already making money and that are just pretty much eating backstage, actually using them in the storylines, then you're not going to have as many injuries. So, you know, what's the deal?
Yeah, well, another woman that we could see back in the mix here. A lot of people want to see her at the Rumble, but again, from the Observer, they're saying that she may be back in action as early as February, which would be just after the Rumble. Her return date might more likely come in like March sometime. So in time for WrestleMania is the good news. I don't really know how you insert her into what's going on, but it looks like, you know, and people want Bayley back. And Bayley really
she held it.
Yeah, she was the glue that was holding that women's division together over on SmackDown for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot for somebody who can be home recovering, but her tweets make news. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like, you know, if she's hiring somebody, I need that person, but I highly doubt it. I think it's Bayley all the way. And, you know, I am excited. It's kind of one of those things. Yes, it's unfortunate that she was injured, but sometimes you need that break to be missed. Even though she wasn't gone, you're seeing her on Twitter saying all this stuff. And it's kind of, you know, now you're excited to see when she comes back. So, right. You know, I am excited for that. However, again, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, there's going to come a point she's going to come back and she's going to do, you know, at this point, it's kind of like insanity. You kind of hope for the betterment of things. However, you know, over the last couple of years, it's kind of been the same thing. So, you know, we'll see maybe Bayley and Sasha get back together. Then they're not going to be friends anymore. Then they're going to go against Charlotte. Like, it's just, you know, then we'll insert Bianca in the mix.
I mean, but putting Bayley back into, she's just so good on the stick and really enjoyable in the ring. I mean, I wasn't really high on the Bayley heel turn at first, but man, was I
what?
No, I don't really get it.
Completely wrong.
I mean, it grew.
She did it perfect. Like we've been calling for Bayley, the heel turn for Bayley for years, and there are some people who made the heel turn and they just couldn't. They just weren't able to do it properly for whatever reason. And I think Bayley, she just unless it's like kind of part of her, or I don't know who she's channeling, but she did it. It was to me, it was seamless, and she did a really great job. And she's living it through and through. And I absolutely love it, because when people blend the line, when wrestlers blend the line, where you're like, does she really not like Michael Cole? Like I don't know how to feel about this, but I'm for it. Like I love it.
I look, I'm with you. I think Bayley's awesome. I love her as a heel. I think it'd be great too, though, if at the Rumble, 3, 2, 1, 30 hits, you know, old school Bayley music hit, out come the Bayley buddies, right? I think the whole place go completely nuts, right? You know, whether or not she's actually a baby or not sure, but I can't wait to see when she hits that reset button. The day she brings back the Bayley buddies, it's gonna get a very, very big pop.
I don't think she's going to bring back the Bayley buddies.
She will at some point. Oh, I promise you. We have not seen the last of those Bayley buddies.
Okay.
I promise.
All right.
Maybe not soon, but we can't go forever without the Bayley buddies returning.
Okay.
All All right, well, maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm an idiot. King Xavier Woods suffered a leg injury during last Friday's WWE SmackDown on Fox. He appeared on G4's Attack of the Show, revealed he suffered the injury during his tag bout against the Usos while delivering the Tornado DDT to Jay. He noted that he tore the plantaris muscle under his calf. Doctors expect him to be out of action for 4 to 6 weeks, meaning he's going to miss the Rumble, possibly WWE's return to Saudi Arabia on February 19th. Bummer for me, because if you're going to go the distance with Big E this year, and they still might, I was really kind of hoping it would be Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods as the final three. I thought it would be a really cool. I thought it'd be a really cool dynamic to see those guys be forced to kind of, go for the gold. I thought it'd be a cool moment. We're not going to get that obviously now, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see what you're saying. However, I don't know if they would agree to that. I know 2 out of the 3 individuals, and on several accounts, it's kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Klitschko brothers, the boxing brothers. They have never, as far as when I was watching boxing, they have never fought each other. Period. Ever.
I'm not saying they have to fight. They could be like paper, rock, scissors. You lost over the top rope. I'm not.
You just climb over the top rope. All right, it's your turn.
It's like, all right, let's Indian leg wrestle. But
okay.
Squid Game stuff, right?
Okay.
I mean, I don't create, but no, I just thought, you push them into a corner, where they have to. Is it going to be Kofi Mania again? Is it going to be Big E's chance to, or is King Wood's going to have his chance to step up? And I like that. I think it'd be really cool. And, I know that they don't want to have a feud, but this isn't like a feud. They're not turning on each other. They're just put in a predicament. You know what I mean?
I think it's time, even though King Woods is King Woods, I think it's time, or it's getting to that time where, there's going to be maybe the next 2 to 3 years, it'll be like his turn to shine. I don't know, who, obviously they are very well liked, backstage. So, I think when they're ready and they have a good story idea, because they always come with these great storylines and they push for it. And a lot of people in social media push for it. Once they kind of figure it out, I think that's where they're going to go. That's going to be the next.
All right. Well, lastly here, Tommaso Champa has taken the gray out of his beard. Just a brown beard now. You can see it on WWE Main Event. I don't really want to bring the photo up. I could, but have you seen Tommaso Champa without the gray?
I saw it in the rundown, and I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, I kind of get it. But it's so funny, because women are scrutinized on every facet with that, and men just have their gray hair or they're balding.
I actually was thinking the same thing. Now, this did a lot of traffic on the site, and then there was the context to it, which is Ciampa's, working these main event matches. Obviously, he doesn't really fit the mold for NXT, so I think it's kind of shit or get off the pot. Like, if you want to stay here and wrestle, you got to prove that you can hang with the guys on Raw and SmackDown.
Right.
This feels like him trying to be young and hip, right? This is
but guys do this all the time. It's just that he's on this platform, and I don't know. So was it reported that WWE gave him the ultimatum, or he just told WWE what he's doing?
I don't know anything about what WWE did or did not say to Tommaso Ciampa about his beard, but it is a young man's game, largely in WWE. Kevin Nash, he's dyed his hair, when he's come back, when he did the Diesel thing, I think
Will Smith does it too. Yeah. And actually it's so funny. I just looked up Ciampa's age, and I actually thought he was older. So it's actually good that he's 36, but I thought he was older because of the gray. So,
he's the same age as me. Me and Tommaso Ciampa are the same age. Think about that. That is wild.
So And I think maybe he didn't want to fight it because I have a friend who's in the industry and he's like gray in his beard, but it's a nightmare because the beards grow out. I mean, you have a beard, so the beards grow out a little bit faster than women. Like women do it every couple weeks. Beards grow out every couple days. Like it's a night. Can you imagine that? It's a hassle, especially if no offense to you guys, like you're not doing the prim and all this other stuff. So it's just like you're used to one thing and now all of a sudden you have to carry hair dye with you all over. However, this might make a difference in, other things and other projects because he looked I thought he was in his 40s. Literally.
Yeah. No, TK, I'm actually 4 months older than Tommaso Champa. I looked it up. I am older than Champa. I don't have any gray hairs. Not that I'm bragging or anything like that, but I also have not like fallen down and put myself in like very stressful situations for the sake of my art. I did do the indies for a long time and looked around at one point and said, maybe you should make some more money and figure out how to stay in wrestling, which is why I do this now.
Right.
But like Champa's got some stories, man. I'm talking making hot dogs off the car, heater kind of deal. I mean, eating raw ramen for weeks on end. This guy, I mean, Champa is like one of the most dedicated, intense pro wrestlers of all time. He's got some crazy stories about what he's gone through. I'm not surprised. What I'm getting at is I am not surprised to know that this man looks like he's been the president for 3 terms. It sounds like he's been through stuff,
And then kudos. I mean, he's obviously doing a great job because he hasn't been part of the cuts. Let me knock on wood because we never know with WWE, but he's had some amazing matches. We know he's a great wrestler. And sometimes, especially being in the industry, I'm going to say the entertainment industry in it on a whole, those changes, we might, because we watch it all the time. We've seen him as great for a very long time, but new fans, merch, like other streams of income might start rolling in because of this. So, take a run with it. But again, maybe he found somebody who's going to help do the dye on a regular basis. It's a lot of work. So kudos to him to see how long he keeps it up for.
All right, TK. Well, thank you for talking the news of the day at the top with me. Thank you to everybody for jumping into the comment section. We love having you guys on the show. Keith here reminding us that Ralph Macchio is in his 60s. Yeah, but he looks good, right? He does. Looks very good. And, of course, thank you to Zicky Dice and Paul Pratt. You guys are both great. We're so happy to have you guys both on the show. The video is going to premiere here in just a couple minutes over on our Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. So jump from this to that, and we'll have highlights here on the site here and not too long. But let's get to it here. News you can, or not news, the mailbag. It's Friday. My brain is out the window. At Wink Daily, WINC Daily. That's the account to follow if you want to vote in our daily polls, support us, all those things. Real simple. Which tag team's your favorite? Usos or New Day? 58.7% of the vote goes to the Usos. 41.3% goes to the New Day. Usos edging out the New Day. I'm kind of surprised by that. I voted New Day myself.
Oof. I think this might have been the first show. So this was like a question a few weeks ago. It depends. Every day is a little bit different. I'm a fan of both tag teams. It's a hard one for me.
We were doing a tag team of the year, I think, the last time we talked about it. And they were going again. See, maybe Culkin's right. Maybe we talk and watch too much New Day Usos. Maybe there's a point to what Macaulay Culkin had to say to Freddie Prinze Jr.
I don't agree with that because no, well, they have enough of a break in between their feuds where when they come back, it's enjoyable. I just feel with other feuds, like, with like Sasha and Bayley, it's like they are together and then they're fighting separately. And it's just like it goes a little bit longer. But I feel like with the New Day and Usos, it's like they separate them for a time where it's like we can breathe. And then they bring them back together and they have a feud. Like, I wish they bring back the rap battle. Like, that was one of my most memorable. Yeah, it was like a fun moment for me. I really enjoyed that. Like, just because they're both great on the mic. So I don't agree with that because there's enough breathing room in between their tiffs together.
Didn't Mega Ran like referee the rap battle? Wasn't he involved with that or no? Am I making that?
I can't remember.
I think he was. I could be wrong.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Something to do this weekend. I'll go watch it back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it there for this week, everybody. It's been great chatting all week long. I'm going to be back on Monday. Another great guest. On Monday, I'm going to have AJ Gray. The Truth is going to be here. He recently took on Gresham for the ROH World Championship. Of course, he's called out Eddie Kingston for the Hammerstein Ballroom. The World on GCW going down next weekend. I'm going to have AJ on next week, and we're going to have a couple other people involved in that show on next week as well. But I always like talking to AJ. Thought we'd lead off next week with him. Michael Weissman will be here, I hope, on Monday. Knock on wood. He said he's got a snowstorm coming through in North Carolina, and if everything goes cattywampus, he may not be here on Monday. So we're sending our best to Michael. If you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, we're on iTunes. Give us a nice 5-star rating, comment. SportWrestlingInc.com. We're on all the socials, and come back tonight after SmackDown for the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Anything you want to put over here, TK, to wrap up the week?
I think somebody in the chat said Wale, and you might have been right, Wale.
Yeah. Wale.
You were talking about ROH. So the ROH women's division, they're actually releasing a documentary tomorrow, I believe it is, and I think tonight on Fight. We interviewed Amy Rose talking about it, about the whole women's event and all that stuff was really great. And they are making a comeback, which I'm really excited about, because some companies, not even just promotions, but some companies said they were coming back during the pandemic or after the pandemic, and they never did. So, kudos to ROH. Is like, we're taking a little bit of break to reset. So they're coming back. So we interviewed Amy Rose, and that's going to be dropping tomorrow. And just, you can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. Make sure you follow Women's Wrestling Talk at www.talkpod.com and all our social media, www.talkpod.
Awesome. And I am at Nick_Hausman. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will talk to you on Monday. And remember, you winked,